Have you wondered why so many creators shoot with the Sony a7S III? Are you baffled on why after 3 years there hasn't been a camera that has come close to matching its image quality? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about why the Sony a7S III is potentially the best camera for a YouTube content creator. And stay tuned to the end because I'm going to tell you whether in 2024 this camera is still worth picking up, despite the fact that there may be other cameras that may be almost as superior or better than the Sony a7S III. So the first reason why this camera is so adored by the YouTube community because of the low megapixel sensor that's inside this camera. This camera uses a 12 megapixel sensor. What does that mean? That basically means that this camera is going to be using about 8 to 9 megapixels when you are shooting in a 16:9 aspect ratio. That's going to provide you with less noise, lower light ability, and a clearer image. So for example, the Sony a7S III, because of the low megapixel, the sensor doesn't have to work as hard to capture all those megapixels. It only has to scan 12 every single frame in order to grab an image. So that means that the readout is so much faster, which eliminates virtually all rolling shutter. So rolling shutter is that bending that you get when things move side to side. In this camera, you get almost none of that. And the reason why is because the sensor only has the 12 megapixels, and that allows the processor to work so much more efficiently to read all those megapixels. That makes this camera superior to a lot of other cameras out there. Now, it's also very small, compact, and lightweight. Now, its sister or brother, I guess depending on how you're thinking about it, is the Sony FX3. It's essentially the same exact camera with a slightly different body. Now, what advantage does the Sony a7S III have over the FX3? Well, it has a viewfinder, and some people might not even use a viewfinder, but for me, I really like it, especially on a bright sunny day. This viewfinder is a 9 million dot viewfinder. So when I put my eye up to it outside in bright sunlight, it's virtually like looking through a window while I'm recording video. I use it to check my focus. I check the color. I check the exposure to ensure that everything looks great before I start shooting video. Now, the back of the LCD screen, which I'm looking at right now, it's only about a 1 million dot LCD screen. It's not the greatest. If I were going to upgrade anything on this camera right here, right now, I would update that to a 2 or even a 3 million dot LCD screen. That's going to help ensure that I'm able to see what is in focus, and it's going to give me a better idea of how exposure looks. Not that you can't get good exposure out of this 1 million dot LCD screen, but it would definitely be easier, and it would just make it so less complicated to use a better LCD screen on the back. Something like the Sony FX30 has. Now, that's a crop sensor camera, where this is a full frame camera. Full frame usually gives you better low light, better shallow depth of field, and a lot of times it just has an image that most people are used to seeing now on YouTube. So what would I do to make this camera better? Well, we already talked about the LCD screen. The other thing I would do is really work on getting some better firmware updates to this camera. The Sony FX3 has already received multiple firmware updates, and I'm pretty sure that it's on firmware 3 point something at this point. This Sony a7S III is only on firmware 2. I would like to see it increase its firmware to 3.0 or higher, give us some breathing compensation, give us maybe LUTs built right in, so this way the LUT that I'm using right now on my Atomos Ninja 5, I could have that loaded straight into my Sony a7S III, and this way I can see exactly what the colors would look like when I'm out shooting. Now, having a LUT on the back of the screen would be super helpful because right now I also have the Sony ECM B1M microphone attached to this camera. Now, I'm booming a microphone out of shot, but with this on top, this is going to be able to give me better clarity, better audio when I'm out shooting. And when I have to mount a monitor on top of the viewfinder, it doesn't allow me the ability to also attach one of these digital microphones that Sony has. So to be able to mount that microphone, have a LUT directly into my LCD screen would be super helpful. So I really could care less maybe about the breathing compensation. That's not something that I necessarily need as bad as I would love to have the LUTs in this camera. Now, is this camera still worth it in 2024? So let me ask you this. Would a Ferrari be terrible when it's 3 years old? No, it wouldn't. And this camera is still a dynamite camera. It's probably got 3, maybe 4 more, 5 more years worth of life out of it. But I'm pretty sure that Sony is either going to come out with the Sony FX3 Mark II or or the Sony a7S IV in the very near future. Now, Sony could put that updated processor in here that they've been using in like the Sony a7R5. So basically, Sony could put a better processor in this camera. There's gonna be better tech that's available. Smaller nanometers, all that other fun stuff that comes with better processors. So is this camera worth it in 2024? You betcha it is. It's still a fantastic camera, and most people are going to do absolutely amazing things still with this camera. There's people that are still out there using the Sony a7 III, and that camera is close to 8 years old. So to be able to use this camera for multiple years to come, it's still a great camera. And if you could pick it up used, even better. This camera comes in right now at $3,500, brand new, straight out of the box, ready to go. But you might be able to pick it up used for under $3,000 because some people are looking to upgrade to cameras like the Sony a7 IV or the Sony FX3 or the Sony ZV-E1. And why? Because Sony FX3 and the ZV-E1, those are smaller compact cameras. The Sony a7 IV, that has 4K 60 and it has a better photo capability. Is 12 megapixels unacceptable for photos? No, not really. When you are shooting, what do I mean by that? You need to make sure that your composition is 100% right before you snap that picture. Because when you crop and post, your image is gonna get very pixely. Is this camera still worth it in 2024? Absolutely. And I would not hesitate to pick it up. If you are looking for the very best video camera that you can get for the money with a fantastic LCD screen and great image quality, awesome in low light, if you need a viewfinder, this is the one you want. So if you have any questions or comments regarding the Sony a7S III, feel free to leave them in the comment box below. If you like this video, I'm sure you're gonna like the video on the screen now. It's about another Sony camera. Feel free to click on that video. Before you leave though, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Thanks for watching.